Hey, Jeffrey, and
Howdy.
welcome to the MEM Summit 2026. We are so thrilled and looking so much forward to actually meet you in person. So, you are the keynote speaker of the MEM Summit 2026, and there is a very specific reason for that.
Uh-huh.
We brand ourselves as the authentic and a community built by contributors.
Mm.
And that brings us to please introduce yourself and let's have a introduction to this year's keynote talk. It's all about the admin.
Yeah. So, howdy. I'm Jeffrey Snover. I'm most known for being the inventor of PowerShell, but I was also the chief architect for Windows Server and a technical fellow at Microsoft. The vast majority of my career has been focused in on one thing, and that is making IT pros successful. Someone once called me the patron saint of IT pros. I just love that. That was great. It kind of encapsulated what's I'm all about. Right. So, shortly after joining Microsoft, we had done this competitive analysis, right? Us versus Linux. And it showed that Windows was far harder to automate than Unix. And that for the things it could automate, it took 10 times the amount of effort to automate it over Unix. And of course, I was just horrified. But then it got worse. So we're doing a review of this, and a Microsoft executive literally said, jokingly, but he said, that's okay. Windows admins are 10 times cheaper than Unix admins. I was horrified, but it provided me a moment of clarity, right? I was going to fix that, right? And so how do you fix that? And the answer is, my goal was to make Windows admins the highest paid admins in the industry, right? And so the first question is, well, why was it that they were not that already? And the answer is the next button, right? The Microsoft had been all about this. Hey, we make it about the GUI. We provide admins something, and they just click next, 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 and then you're done. And so they're really literally adding no value other than clicking in next to the buttons. So of course they're not paid anything, right? And so the problem was that really wasn't going to meet the needs of the business. I was fine for some things, but not really important things. Important things needed custom solutions. And that meant we needed to build a GUI, we needed to build a CLI and have a scripting language, right? And so I brought this up at a company that was all in about the GUI, right? They wanted to make everything about the GUI. I was not greeted as a liberator. I had one executive screaming at me, Jeffrey, exactly which part of effing Windows is confusing you, right? And the reason why they had that mindset was if they could make the problem about a GUI, they could win, right? The command line interface was the tool of the enemy, of the competitor. But if you could make it about the GUI, you could win. And the answer is you couldn't, right? That was not what was needed, right? And this is where I got my other nickname, the Heretic of Redmond, bringing this idea of the command line interface to that. So in fact, I was demoted for working on PowerShell. But that's okay because I was right and they were wrong. Okay. So eventually we shipped PowerShell. It enabled a generation of IT pros to become the heroes of their companies. Eventually I got my promotion back and went on to become a technical fellow. And I just can't tell you how many people have shared their success stories with me about their bonuses, their promotions, their raises. Many of them doubled or tripled their salaries. I'll never forget that Ignite in Orlando, where an admin came to me and shared that because of PowerShell, he was able to triple his salary. He was able to buy a home, which he never thought he'd be able to do. And that fall, for the first time ever, someone in their family, his daughter, was going to be going to college. And I'll tell you what, that was just for me it. That was just incredible. On my deathbed, I'm going to think about that conversation and I'm going to smile.
Jeffrey, that's an amazing story. And I really look forward to hear a lot more of these kind of stories. But if you out there want to hear more of Jeffrey, then you need to come to Paris in April in 2026. and have a talk in person with Jeffrey. Thank you so much for attending, Jeffrey. See you soon.
Cheers.